I had a problem with bad odor coming from the vents in this car. I'd already replaced the cabin filter, so there's mold or something evil inside its vent ducts. I have this Clean Air product, and this video will basically double as a sort of review of it in particular, although I'm sure that alternative brands would be fine too. When you look for products to treat odors in cars, you generally come up with two different kinds, other than the silly air vent perfume bottles, of course. The first, and what seems to be the most common, is an interior treatment where you leave the can inside a closed car and it goes off kind of like a flea bomb. So that might be useful if you don't keep your car clean. Keep your car clean, people. But I find it's usually my air ducts that want treating, and that's where this comes in. I think this brand does the interior type also, so you could do both. So this is supposedly a treatment that deals with vents, ducts, aircon, evaporator core, etc. And they make a point of saying how it's not just a scented cover-up, but something that encapsulates particles and stops the odors properly, supposedly. And they have very specific instructions on the back for you to follow, which are easy enough to follow if you're methodical. And before you begin, you need to know two things. You need to know where the exterior air intake is for the cabin, usually at the base of the windshield. On this Focus, it's on the left side under the panel, which you can pull up to get at the cabin filter. So you pull the cabin filter out and leave the panel accessible. And you also need to know where the recirculation air intake inside the cabin is. Usually it's somewhere on one of the footwells. And you can find it by getting a piece of tissue paper or something else light and flexible and just holding it near where you think the air is going. See this paper, it wants to go up here on the side of this console, so the intake is up there on the left. Right, so step 1 instructs engine and aircon off and the doors open. And you use the extension tube to spray a quick burst of a few seconds into each interior outlet vent across the dash. By the way, some cars might have vents in the rear cabin also, so don't forget them. And also don't forget the windscreen vents at the base of the windscreen for the demister. Step 2 is to run the engine with the aircon on, max fan, and the air system set to recirculate. And they want you to spray half the can's contents toward the recirculation air intake inside the cabin. So you spray towards it and the mist is supposed to be pulled into the system. Now I found this a bit messy because it doesn't really sort of atomize completely, and you end up with half the liquid just landing wherever you sprayed it. So I guess this carpet won't be smelly for quite some time. And then the third and final step is to turn off the air recirculate function so that you're now pulling in it outside air, and close up the car. And now you hit the main intake. Now they don't talk about this, but as I showed you before, you should remove the cabin filter before you go spraying again. Otherwise, obviously the filter is just going to absorb all the product. And then you empty the can this time, finish all the products, empty it into the intake. And then you allow the system to just run for about 5 minutes. And while it's doing that, I would clean up the excess fluid that you will have gotten around the place, and then replace the cabin filter. So on these cabin filters, they do get dirty and smelly, so that may be part of your problem. So they do want replacing on a regular basis, so bear that in mind. Now after the 5 minutes is up, you're supposed to open the car and just let it vent out for 10 minutes or so. And of course this carpet wanted wiping down in my case. So after use, I would say this treatment reduced the odor, not completely, but probably by a good half. In the absence of being able to properly clean the vents out, mechanically, it's not bad. We did it twice actually. You can buy multi-packs of the cans. So after the second treatment, yeah, I'd say it was worthwhile. Okay, have fun.